the chosen successor of Sorosuruha. The previous Chosen X hell-bent on doing everything in her power in order to prevent the Dark Calamity, and the hero of Iwato, contributing immensely to the defeat of the Rock Lizard Choujin, the Harken King, being forced to enter a supernatural world of madness and war in order to protect those around him. This is Tokio Kurohara, and today I'll be attempting to find out and communicate just how strong he is. Tokio's first opponent is the Flexi Choujin, Johnny Kiyoshi Takayama, and I will go over the definition of a Choujin for those of you who are unaware. A Choujin is a person who has superhuman abilities. Choujin's power and form is greatly influenced by their emotional state and desires. So much so that Yamato Mori has a rule specifically surrounding spontaneous usage of powers influenced by emotional outbursts. To become a Choujin, a person must have the aptitude required to become one, which can be obtained through various means such as inheritance, infection, or the Choujin injection. This one being an injection Choujin. This Choujin is now invulnerable to Azuma's attacks and ragdolls him. The same Azuma who shattered both of his arms pre-transformation with a single kick. And Tokio comes in after his first Choujin transformation and sends Johnny flying with a single punch, ending the battle. And this is a Tokio with zero combat experience and has only heard of Choujin until his encounter with one in this instance. It's very safe to say that Tokio has always had a knack for battle, whether he displays it or not. Tokio's next challenge is Nari Sumuji, the White Snake Choujin. Nari initially toys around with Tokio, turning their battle into a game with the stipulations of, you evade me, if captured, you get one strike, and if Tokio is caught 3 times, the game will be over. She states to Tokio that, if she catches him 3 times, she'll kill him. In the first and second round, Tokio is caught very easily by Nari, due to him not truly focusing on the game. After the second round, she paralyzes Tokio and proceeds to explain to him that he lacks strength, ingenuity, mobility, and most of all, a sense of responsibility for his own life. And since he lacks in all these traits as a Choujin, he's unable to fight at his full and true capacity. As Ellie enters the scene and the fight continues, Tokio is eventually put into a predicament where he needs to save Ellie, and this allows him to finally enter full beastification at will, thus proving Nari's point. You'll see that throughout the series that when Tokio's determined to fight and protect others, his strength is unparalleled. After entering his full beastification against Nari, Tokio's mobility is greatly enhanced, allowing him to jump much higher, move very quickly, and evade most of Nari's attacks without any trouble whatsoever. But in terms of strength, Tokio was able to hold Nari's mouth open while she was in her full beastification state, but cannot damage her past her scales, which is still better than what he was able to do in his base. Eventually, Tokio and Ellie had to be saved by Simon, a keeper of Yamato Mori. Now enter Tezuya Shiozaki. Shiozaki is the Sinker Choujin, and is currently in a chaos state when fighting against Tokio. To clarify the abilities of Tezuya, the Sinker Choujin, his abilities allow him to throw an object, and once that object hits its target, the target will sink into the surrounding space. Shiozaki can also use his ability defensively, as he can strike anything that may be headed towards him and sink that as well, akin to a gravitational force field. And to summarize the chaos state, this is a berserker state in which the Choujin's abilities are enhanced exponentially, but they also take control over the user, causing a loss of sense of their self. If you read Tokyo Ghoul, Sui Ishida's previous work, it follows the same exact rules. Right out the gate, Shiozaki directly hits Tokio with his ability, which sends Tokio into the ground with so much force, it cracks open the floor below him and sinks him into it. Tokio is able to tank this attack and sprout himself up from the hole once entering his full beastification state. Throughout this fight, Tokio is holding back a lot, as he wants to save Shiozaki rather than defeat him. Although Tokio does not participate in much of true combat, he does display intense battle IQ and knowledge. Tokio understands that, since Shiozaki is in a berserker state in the form of a baseball player who primarily throws sinkers, Tokio exploits this by imitating a batter. As Tokio steps up to the plate, Shiozaki throws a 125-mile-per-hour pitch. And although Tokio cannot react just due to expecting a normal pitch for some reason, due to his vulture-like beastification state, he was able to at least perceive the pitch and is fairly confident in his ability to hit the next one. As Shiozaki throws another pitch, which happens to be a 190-mile-per-hour fastball, it goes right through Tokio's arm, which renders it unusable, completely catching him off guard. Tokio wants to continue batting against Shiozaki, as he sees hope for his return from his chaos state, so he asks Monoma to strike him hard enough to kill him, which will allow him to activate and raise. A raise, for those who are unaware, is an ability intrinsic to every single Choujin that merges destruction and creation, allowing them to revive and completely recover following mortal wounds, completely regenerating the body. This ability can be used up to 3 times a day, depending on the user. This ability is normally frowned upon, due to the consequence of this power being the gradual loss of humanity with each use. Getting closer and closer to death and having to overcome their human limitations to be reborn, their form and mentality becoming more and more similar to their state as a Choujin. So most attempt to stay away from abusing this ability in order to retain their sanity. As Tokio activates his raids for the first time, he steps up to the plate one last time and actually manages to react to and hit Shiozaki's pitch, which moves at speeds of 125 miles per hour or even more, redirecting the object right back at Shiozaki and sinking him, thus reminding Shiozaki of his humanity through baseball and ending the fight. After this fight, Tokio begins to take his pursuit of strength a bit more seriously, since he now understands he has the potential to protect others and make a difference in their lives. Then he instantly loses to the box Choujin by submission. Up next, enter Rarika Umizawa, the Kirigami Choujin. With the ability to endow any shape she creates with paper, with the properties that they resemble, Paper Moon grants Umizawa immense flexibility with her powers, allowing her to fly with the use of a tiny paper plane and primarily wield a gigantic scissor blade. This indicates that she can also manipulate the size of her crafts as well. The potential of this ability is endless. As Umezawa is tasked with capturing Tokio alive, she immediately engages by sending 5 knives into his head, which briefly renders Tokio unconscious. Tokio is able to recover from this attack very quickly, and as he regains consciousness from this, he enters battle against Umezawa alongside Ellie in his full beastification state. Although he immediately states that Umezawa is an opponent that the two together have no chance of defeating. As Tokio goes to catch Ellie after she receives a blow from Umezawa, Umezawa immediately throws 6 sticks of dynamite created from her ability directly at Tokio, to which he tanks at the cost of his beastification state and proceeds to fall unconscious once again. It's important to note here that Tokio seems to not have taken any damage here, as there's not a single drop of blood on him, but it may have taken the rest of his stamina in order to withstand that blow. Despite that, Tokio was utterly decimated, even with the help of Ellie. After Tokio's loss, he wakes up in the enemy's base. In an attempt to escape, he jumps off the top of a building that's at least 8 stories tall and lands directly on his head, crushing it. He's very quickly able to raise and recover from this, adding on to his feats of regeneration. As Tokio comes upon Azuma's corpse left behind by Umezawa, he grabs her and slams her through a couple of buildings. The same Umezawa who was previously untouchable by both the combined efforts of Ellie and Tokio in their first battle. As Umezawa attempts to attack Tokio with her paper trip, the ability that can slice and dice up normal humans like a cheese grater, he immediately shuts that down and counters his attack by generating armored wings. It's heavily implied that, although Tokio is powered up in this instance due to a state of confusion which leads to chaosifying, he would have likely been able to defeat Umezawa here, as she had to call out for Ricardo, the Fear Choujin, to interfere and use his ability in order to shock Tokio into unconsciousness. Now we finally come upon the main man, Azuma Higashi himself, in his first Choujin transformation. The first battle in the series to push Tokio to his limits and draw out every single inch of his power. After Azuma transforms, he instantly speed blitzes Ricardo, bullies Umezawa without her even touching him once, the same Umezawa who had a run-on sight order for the keepers of Yamato Mori, and impales Ellie, one-shotting her. After doing all these things sequentially, he goes on to take in a combined attack from Monoma and Simon, which forces him to raise and easily dismantle those two right after as well. Azuma in this instance is on another level from anything Tokio has faced so far, and as Azuma faces Tokio and challenges him, Tokio reluctantly accepts, because Tokio in this instance knows that in order to protect everyone from further damage, he has to take action. The battle begins with Azuma pummeling Tokio relentlessly, to which Tokio in his base form is able to catch both of his arms and halt him. This prompts Azuma to throw him through a building and combo him throughout the entire city. As their fight goes on, the two eventually land upon a bridge flooded with civilians. Azuma gets hit by a car and takes out his anger on the driver, which leads to Tokio inevitably reaching his breaking point with Azuma, thus forcing him to actually fight back. Tokio enters his full beastification state, but against someone as powerful as Azuma, this made no difference. Even after fully beastifying and entering into a battle state, Tokio still stood no chance. As Azuma relentlessly pummels and maims Tokio, he forces him to race endlessly. As Tokio is pushed beyond his limit and falls unconscious, he finally breaks. Tokio has awakened his chaos state, a white, faceless humanoid covered in bandages and black feathers. In this state, Tokio has 3 arms and wields Choujin slaying blades in each of his hands. As soon as Tokio enters this state, he quickly speed blitzes and dismantles Azuma with no difficulty. Azuma did not even have a single chance to attack Tokio. The same Azuma who was able to take down Umizawa, Simon, Monoma, and Ellie all at once with almost no difficulty. Without a doubt, Chaos Tokio is the strongest Choujin we've seen, bearing all children with the title of X and possibly Sandakoshi. As in his next appearance, he is able to break out of Sora's grasp with ease, the previous Choujin X. Although she one-shots him right after, it's still impressive to overpower her physically regardless. It is unknown what exactly this chaos state of Tokio's is meant to represent. All that's known is, this state makes him a potential candidate of X and the incarnate of madness and power. Moving on to post-time skip Tokio. Tokio goes away with Ichiro Sato to train for about a year and seems to come back much stronger, as he has mastered his partial beatification, refining it to a point where he can sprout a single wing presumably for combat and manifest a smaller Choujin slaying blade, all the while being in his base form. At this point, only God knows how far Tokio will go in terms of power. We'll just have to wait and see how this story plays out in the end. Well, that's it guys. I wanted to wait until chapter 37, but honestly, I'll just make up for that when the chapter officially releases with my review. Anyway, if you took the time to watch this video all the way through, thank you so much, and if you enjoyed Choujin X content such as this, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Thank you. I'm pretty sure you guys know who's up next for this type of video. I don't even have to say it. Anyways, again, take care.